Hello YouTube, vintage stereo taker aparters and put it back togetherers and collectors. Hey, this is a Yamaha. I just picked this up yesterday. It's an A-500 integrated amp, 1981, 82 vintage, 70 watts per channel. Nice heatsink, huh? Big transformer. It's mostly discrete. There is a couple preamp chips, and they're kind of hard to see, but they're right about the front here. This has some neat fit. I've had, I think this is my third one of these. I've had one in silver and two in black. And what's kind of neat about these, it was sort of the entry-level model that had a moving magnet, moving coil switch. So you could use really high-end cartridges with it. It has a switchable record out, and it has these kind of neat push buttons. I prefer a switch that you click, but this is the way things are going. At that time, each one has an LED above it, LED above the muting, LED above the power. And this is the first series to do that. Before that, they were actually little incandescent bulbs, which didn't seem to last very long, and they're getting very hard to find now. So this faceplate, I'm not kidding you, this is how clean it was. And you could just, when you turn the controls, this is a unit that's 40 years old. These ones feel very little wear. They're still tight. Now I had to take the faceplate off, and then you've got to take some screws out to get at the controls. Give them a really good cleaning. And I usually don't get into one brand or the other. This is a Canadian MG Chemicals neutral control cleaner. This stuff here, 401B-140G, is the best for vintage electronics that have a lot of potentiometers, rotary ones. Not as good for slide. And one thing I can say is I buy it in the smaller can. The larger can's a little harder to get into places with. And also, as the can gets to the near the end, I believe the mixture of the chemicals changes. I have no laboratory evidence to back that up, so I go with a small can, easier to work with. So I've cleaned all the controls and switches. There wasn't a lot of noise on them to begin with. This is really showing up as a low hours amp. And here's some of the great things about two 12,000 microfarad capacitors. Neato, eh? Any of the transistors that are in the preamp section that do current handling have good heat sinks on them, including this one. Has, like I say, great power supply in it. A couple things I want to say about Yamaha. I have owned and worked on a lot of Yamahas over the years, a lot of Kenwoods, a lot of Sensuis. For Yamaha, the early stuff, the early solid state, is still the best. CA610, CA810, even the CA410. They had a sound to them, a certain sound, and they were heavy duty build, but they are finicky to rebuild. And it's funny the difference a decade makes in technology. So we're going from mid-70s on that older series to early 80s on the 500, 700 series. And there's a little difference in the build quality. They did start to decontent these, but they also got better at putting them together. You have more assemblies that you take out a couple screws and you pull the whole assembly out, whereas before you were unsoldering and unclipping, and it was a little bit more work to take them apart. I also find this one here, this is one of the few amps I'm not going to recap it. I've been testing everything, set the bias up, and it just sounds good and it works good, and there seems to be no leakage, no strange sounds in the phono section. Usually these power relays go bad. Well, this is a replacement. It looks like the only thing that's been done to it. It has a replacement relay in it, a Matsusha, which it doesn't really matter. It's where the pinout is and what the voltage is. So sometimes the relays get a little bit sticky and noisy. This one's fine. So I'm going to, as far as I'm going with it, I'm going to put the lid back on, clean it up and listen to it for a while. And the one thing I have to say about Yamaha, once you got a couple years after this, they started to go downhill. Tell me I'm wrong. They were not the same, especially their receivers. You get into the mid to late 80s, they were just not the same. They started getting into those SDK circuit packs, and my friend in Skylab's Audio was just talking about those in a video, and they don't like them. I don't like them. They're hard to desolder, they're hard to find replacement that works. This discrete stuff, it really is the best. This was the peak of Yamaha. Now you might say, well, this is a lower level model, I want one with more power. Hey, no problem, go and find one of the bigger ones. But really, for the average living room, if 70 watts doesn't do it for you, you need hearing aids, to be honest. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening. Have a good day.